Welcome back to the Omni Hypnosis Center. And it's nice to see all of you folks back here again for this month's seminar for you professional hypnotherapists. Tonight you've come out to learn about study improvement and test anxiety. There's a lot of people who have tremendous problems in this area. We think normally of students in grammar school and high school and college. And yeah, we have a lot of people who have study problems and test problems, but also in the professional world. In our facility here, we have a lot of stockbrokers, for example, young people who are becoming stockbrokers. And they have to take the examinations that's called the Series 7 examination. And it's a difficult exam. And a lot of people that take this have been away from school for a while and their just skills have deteriorated and they're frightened of it. We have other people come to us for real estate examinations. You know, that's a big thing here, especially in this state, Florida. Seems like about every third person in this state is a real estate agent. And I know that a lot of people get their real estate licenses and think that someday they'll use them and become successful. Well, there's quite a bit of studying that goes into that. And the state exam is difficult, not to mention the broker's exam on top of that one. So we see not only what we would think of as students, young people, we also have many, many adults come in to get past these exams. Usually, as for every problem that people have, they come to the hypnotist last. They will go ahead and go through and cycle through all their other options until they discover us. And when they're successful, they spread the word, and that's how your business increases. There's several stock brokerage firms, as a matter of fact, before they hire people, will make them agree to come here to take the pre-test training and also for sales improvement, because of course they want to get the most benefit out of an employee. So there's a tremendous amount of adult business going on all the time. You know, and when we think of another type of a test, let's kind of let our minds float a little bit from scholastic. Anybody have any idea what's the one test in the business world that is feared by more employees than any other one? Yep. Huh?
Drug test.
Drug test. Yeah, we're not going to do much with hypnosis to disguise that. So that's one they're either going to pass or fail without our assistance. How about
An interview?
an interview? You're getting warm.
Polygraph.
Bingo.
Oh.
Polygraph test. A polygraph test is a test given to people. They call it a polygraph test. What is it really? What does everybody call it?
Lie detector.
A lie detector test. Now the word, the philosophy, the concept, immediately, if you were going to go take a lie detector test, would frighten you, wouldn't it? Of course it would. How many of you have never stolen anything in your life? Not a penny off of a dresser someplace. A candy bar. Well, that's about average. That's about average. Everybody has. And if they come at you, have you ever stolen anything in your life? Oh my God, I remember that quarter I swiped off of my dad's dresser back in 1904. So, and decent people have lost their jobs because of polygraph tests. People who weren't thieves, people who were upset, and it indicated. And also, the people who administer polygraph tests. Let me tell you something. It's kind of like our profession when you think about it. If you want to go out and buy a polygraph machine, go ahead and do it and start into the business. And the amount of training that they get is purely dependent on the school that they go to. So there's a lot of incompetent people who lead their clients, and it's wrong. It's not the way it should be. I teach people how to pass polygraph tests. Even if they tell me that they have been accused of murder and they're guilty. You see, if they're guilty, let them be found guilty based on something else. not on a test that in itself is erroneous and can cause problems. So a good investigator will be able to find the answers in other ways. So that's another kind of testing and test anxiety that we can discuss, and it's easy to pass these kind of tests. That's the easiest one. Anybody wants to make a lot of money, just specialize in polygraph, getting people past the polygraph test. Bartenders, cocktail waitresses, barmaids, they're tested constantly. So there's a constant flux of business in and out. Okay, what are the reasons why people have problems studying or passing examinations? What creates within them the inability to study or the inability to take an exam? Well, there's lots of factors, but there are some key factors that we want to be aware of when we're dealing with children or adults. It doesn't matter. A lot of people have been told by parents that they never were going to amount to anything. We deal with alcoholic parents, parents who in and by themselves feel they're worthless. They have no worth. They have no self-esteem. And so they pass these feelings on to their children. And the children not only have trouble in school, but they follow the path of alcoholism and drug abuse and things of this order that are parallel with it. They think they're less than. And that's a terrible way to enter a school. Feelings of not as good as have been developed. And when you don't feel as good as a good student or as good as your friends, that's going to cause you to have negative factors also. You end up hanging around with the other people who say school isn't important. And you know that crowd. I used to belong to that crowd when I was in high school, before I pulled myself up. You see, there's a rule that goes along with that. It says the cooler I get, the more difficult it is for me to be a success in school. You know, you look at the nerds, and you know the nerds are going to make it. But you look at the Fonzies. Remember Fonzie? Arthur Fonzarelli, yo. And he ends up working in the gas station. And that's the parallel. The dropouts, they're cool in high school, the girls get a kick out of them, but nowadays that's not even the way it works very much anymore. That's kind of phased out. But the cooler a person becomes, the worse their grades become in school. Because it's not cool to be good in the classroom. Teachers who early on, when that child first goes to school, stops them from being good students. Now remember, we all learned, and no matter what school of hypnotism you went to, that the critical factor of the conscious mind is not really formed, and you have no ability to reject negative suggestions until you're 7 or 8, depending on your rate of maturity. So you can go into a classroom, and even if you have a critical factor in focus, just the fact you're around people and children you don't know, you want to be accepted, your teacher's an ominous person, your critical factor is bypassed tremendously in the early years of school. What does that mean? Well, that God-like person in front of you that is the teacher, whatever she or he says is going to go into your inner mind, and it's going to become part of your belief system. I heard it all over and over again. Students, kids come to me and say, my teacher will say to me, geez, I taught your brother 2 years ago. He did wonderful. I hope you do as well as he did. Now you see the pressure that puts a child under right there. Oh, you're Joe Jones's sister? Oh, he did great. I know you're going to do just as great as him. And then what happens? As soon as that child fouls up once, as we all do, the teacher says, your brother would have done this correctly, and there's the programming that you're not as good as, and it starts you backwards again. It's a very shaky environment back when we first start into school. It's kind of frightening. All of you remember when you were back there what it was like. And if you get embarrassed by your teacher in the classroom, it stops you dead. You do everything possible to be invisible from that point on. And what happens is, if you do well in school, then you're pointed out, so you try to find the middle point where everybody ignores you, but you end up being at the bottom of the basket anyway, and then what happens? You're picked on again, and the cycle continues. Another thing that can happen to children, and basically kind of focusing on children now, is they may be fine students, and then something happens like mononucleosis, where they get into a period of illness and they're taken out of school, and they get back into the classroom after a period of time, and they're behind, they can't catch up. The harder they try, the more difficult it becomes. They're swimming upstream like a salmon until they finally say, the pressure from my parents, the pressure from the teachers, I surrender. And they basically give up. Parental pressure. How many of you had pressure from your parents to do exceedingly well? Yeah. How many of you benefited from that? Mm-hmm. How many think it hurt you in some way? Mm-hmm. It can. It can. There's a woman a family that grew up next to us, they had a single daughter. And I mean, they pushed her into everything. She had to play tennis. She had to take dance lessons. She had to do this, she had to do that, until finally she decided she didn't have to come home. And she was history to this day. And I'm sure she's not in school someplace getting straight A's. Parents should be careful that they don't put their desires as their child. Remember, we're all individual people, aren't we? Some of us feel we've chosen this, and we'll have to deal with it one way or another. Other times we start school too young. Sometimes it's chronologically too young, sometimes it's mentally too young, where we're just not ready to grow for another year. And that has a tendency to slow us down. And remember, all this points to the further behind we get, the harder it is to catch up again. And what do we do when we find we can't catch up? We still have to have our feelings of self-esteem. Where do we get them?
Outside, gangs.
Yeah, gangs, drugs, booze. That's where we get our self-esteem. After long periods of illness, you go back into the classroom and you face failure. And failure brings on more failure. It's twice and 3 or 4 times harder each time to become successful after a failure. Because the mental attitude is what the mind expects to happen has a tendency to be realized. If you fail, and if you don't really punch it and work hard and know you're going to be successful, you'll have that feeling, I think I'll fail again. And what you think is what you're going to be. And then we get into the drugs, to the alcohol. And you know, once we're on that, forget about doing very well in any kind of a study or a concentrative environment. You can't concentrate when you're in a chemical cloud. You just can't do it. And again, because you can't do it, you end up finding your security in the wrong parts of town, looking for love in all the wrong places. And then you're lazy. You get lazy. Here's another one. What do I mean by lazy? Other things in life are more important than hitting the books, of working to learn and to obtain knowledge. What do you think are some of the things that might be a little more important as you're growing up?
Sports.
Sports, sure, absolutely. But nowadays, a lot of schools have passed the rule, if you don't get a certain grade, you don't play sports. That's a good theory. What's even more powerful in sports? What's the three-letter word?
Sex.
Yeah. Girls? Yeah, but if you're a girl, how about guys? Sure. All of a sudden, you've discovered the opposite sex. And I wonder what's more important, algebra or Fifi? How about, what else is important? Let's see. Let's cut school today so we can go to mall and pick out some clothes. Clothes becomes important, doesn't it? More to the girls than to the boys. But still, that's important. You got to look right. That peer image pressure, you see. Who are the people that are getting the grades? Who are the people that are doing good in school? The nerds, you see. Or the really sharp people. The people are going to make it. And they're also cool. Those people have the ability to really be cool and also get good grades. They've got balance in their family. They come from a loving and supportive, not pushing family. That's an exciting place to grow up. That's a good place to grow up. All right. How do we're going to break this down into two parts. First, study improvement. We'll talk about how to do that. And then test anxiety. How to get the people to come to you through tests very simply and very easily. Every time. Okay, how do we correct study habit problems? Well, there's two ways you go about doing it. Very similar to some of the other things we learned. If the cause is known, direct suggestion works wonderfully for it. If the person is lazy, if the person's involved with other interests, football or shopping or all these other superficial things that steer them away, then compounded direct suggestion can be enormously effective. That patter, as long as it's good patter, it touches all the bases, will be very effective. And as usual, you'll get that patter tonight. We'll hand it out at the end of the class. And this is an excellent study improvement pattern. It works on the areas of increasing people's confidence, their self-esteem. But we're going to add to that. We're going to give them more detail than the pattern incorporates. We'll get back to that. The second thing you have to do, and generally you'll have to do this with the people who have become dropouts, alcohol abusers. I'm not going to say alcoholics yet, let's just say alcoholic abusers, if we're kind of leaning toward the younger people. Drug abusers. The people that are already becoming programmed to be losers. These people, we have to do hypnoanalysis, where we'll take them back and discover the cause of why they have these terrible feelings of low self-worth and self-esteem. And then we'll do the hypnotherapy, which will be the correcting of those events that neutralize them. Then we begin the building of the self-esteem, the self-worth. Then, and then only, do we go into the direct pattern that we would give to the people who were just the lazy ones. We've got to correct the problem before we can build on it. Now, this is not a terribly difficult thing to do. The pattern itself is important. And when we go over and we look at some of the highlights of the pattern, when you get through with the regression, now how are you going to change perception? You've regressed the person. You found out that his father beat him, told him he was a bum, told him he couldn't do anything. You found out that his mother was insensitive, who would much rather go play tennis than spend any time with the children, so they were neglected. Or the mother and father were too busy making a living, the children were neglected, and whatever. the scenario may be. You've discovered that. Now what are you going to do to correct it? How do you correct a child being told through various phrases that they're no good, they'll never be anything, they're going to be just like their brother, the bum, who got electrocuted last year in Rayford Prison because he was a bad person. You're going to turn out just like him. How do you correct these feelings? You can do chair therapy. Sure you can. Chair therapy is one thing you can do, and it's very effective. And we all know what chair therapy is. It's creating a hallucination, isn't it? Where you have somebody imagine they're in a chair, the person that hurts them in another chair, and you have them talk back and forth and vent the anger till it's neutralized. You create the forgiveness, and that particular situation then has no negative energy left in it. Sure, you can do chair therapy. What else do you think we could do to neutralize it? Subconscious purges of negativity. Any way you want to do that. You release the guilt, the anger, the hate, and the resentment. Now, when you do chair therapy with a person who has low self-esteem, who has low self-worth, and you've worked through just about everybody who's zapped them, for example, but when you, even before that, when you look at that, who's the most important person that that person has to do chair therapy with? Himself. He's got to create feelings of forgiveness for himself for his mistake. He is really fouled up. He knows he's fouled up. He doesn't see an answer, a band-aid, a way that he can feel good about his fouling up. So when we work, importantly, in these areas, we work with forgiveness. Any way, any technique that you choose to get a person to forgive himself and it works is what you have to do. Because only before you can do anything else with that person, the need of self-punishment has to be eliminated. That person has to be able to feel he can grow into the future and that he can be as good as anybody else and reach his own potential, whatever that may be. Forgiveness. You've got to clean that person's slate. So then you can give them the pattern that will give them the technique. Now here's one thing that you want to do with individuals. And it's training them how to study. When you go through the pattern, after the pattern is the way I do it. And I'll just highlight some of the points that you're going to come up against in this. The pattern works on establishing with the individual that indeed he has an organic computer, and that this computer can accept programming at any speed, at any rate. And once the person understands that, you're going to then develop concentration skills, study skills. You're going to develop powerfully his ability to concentrate. You're going to develop a desire to attend class, wanting to be in school, whether that school is a grammar school, a high school, a college, a vocational school, or a corporate training school. A desire to learn, a desire to be there. Then you're going to go ahead and work on his ability to pay attention. So the extremes around him, the noises, the things that would distract, can't affect or disturb him anyway. I'll show you how to do this in a few minutes. Then you're going to take away the fear of failure. Now, most of the time when we deal with people in school, they're afraid of failing. Very rarely, although it does happen, do we come across fear of success. People are afraid of failing a test. That's what they're scared of. So here's the way you can teach them how to study. After you get through the pattern, it's going to go ahead and develop study habits, programming, eliminating negative programming. You say to a person simply this: here's how you're going to study. At night, you'll set, or whenever the time is, you'll set apart a certain block of time every day, or whatever way you structure this, to study. You'll find a private place. Now that doesn't have to be anything fancy. It can be the kitchen table, telling the family that, hey, I'd appreciate a little privacy. You will at this point have developed his capability to concentrate very strongly. That you learn in the pattern. That we're going to show you in some other ways in a little while. Now, concentration, strong concentration, takes energy. If a person concentrates too long, they become exhausted. The last thing you want is somebody exhausted before they've gotten through their time or gotten through the material they have to learn that particular day or that particular evening. So you say, here's how you're going to do your study. You'll find your private place. You'll basically clear the decks for action. Whatever outside things that could happen that could distract you, you will neutralize as much as possible in your environment. You go to a room where there isn't a phone, or you take the phone off the hook, whatever. Then you will say to yourself, I'm now going to study, and concentrate powerfully for 20 minutes. You'll have the person look at a clock, establish what time it is, or maybe they set a little timer for 20 minutes, any way you want to do that. And when that egg timer goes off, after that 20 minutes, they're to stop, no matter what they're doing, get up, shake it out, take a walk for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, throw some water on their face, grab a drink, a snack, get away from it mentally completely. Then they'll come back, get comfortable, say to themselves, I'm now going to concentrate and study for 20 minutes. And they'll do it again. And it's important that you break the cycle. Otherwise, and all of us know, we get to a point, and if you watch yourself as you've studied over the years, if you're average, after about 20 minutes of studying, your mind starts to wander. Because if you're really into it and you want to learn the stuff, you're burning up so much energy, so much mental energy, that you find yourself speed reading more fastly, is that how you say it? Faster than you should. Or glancing at a paragraph and say, there's nothing in there, I'll quickly go on to the next one. And you miss, and you skip. So, 20 minutes is the maximum. If you're dealing with somebody you know, you sense, is a little slower, make it 15 minutes. That's something you're going to have to play by ear. But it's critically important that you establish a time to study, a break, a time to study, a break. During that break, it should have absolutely nothing to do with that study environment. Get them out of the room. Get them to walk the dog. Something else. A quickie shower. Jan likes that word, I guess. I don't understand that at all. So, now you're going to be amazed how much more the people retain if they follow this simple little technique in their study habits. You also create within the individual in the hypnotic session a tremendous desire to learn. We'll show you how to do this in a few minutes also. Combined with the ability to relax. You can't learn if you're tense. You can't learn if you're tight. You have to be able to let go so that information freely can flow into your mind. So the pattern and what you're going to do in a few minutes when I show you will encompass all of these. Now when that person goes to study, he's in a high state of concentration, a physical state of relaxation, and a mental state of relaxation. Now that sounds like oil and water, but it's not. You can be highly concentrated and yet very much relaxed. And that's the utopia mental condition to be in to absorb information. Direct suggestion is also given to the individual. When he enters the classroom, now you can word it any way you want to, and this goes away from the patter a little bit. When he sits down in the chair, or she, when her fanny hits the chair, that's going to be a post-hypnotic trigger suggestion. That when your fanny hits the chair, instantly, that's going to cause a powerful wave of relaxation combined with high concentration and desire to flow, a desire to learn to flow through your mind and body and spirit. Instantly, when you sit in that chair, you have a readiness to concentrate on everything that's going on in that classroom that has to do with learning. When you sit down in that chair, all other extraneous sounds and noises of any kind, unless they're a source of danger, are completely ignored by you. Now, if the fire alarm goes off, of course, that's a source of danger, so they're going to hear that, aren't they? Yeah. Or if somebody comes in the classroom and yells, "Stick 'em up," they'll respond to that also. But not the jibber-jabber of the two guys next door or the two girls over here. They're going to be able to ignore that. And when that instructor comes out, when that instructor begins to speak, your eyes become glued to that instructor. You become so powerfully concentrated on what that instructor is saying, you find you're able to anticipate what he says before he says it. And you'll find as their ability to concentrate grows, frequently, this will be the case. I tell them your concentration will grow so awesomely powerful that you will feel that you are the instructor, that you are looking out with the instructor's eyes at the class, and you are teaching that class. All this happens when your fanny hits that chair. Prior to that, you can be as weird, as fluff-headed, as ditzy as you want to be. I'd like to hear this tape in about 20 years when those words are archaic and anachronistic and everybody laughs. But when your fanny hits that chair, you become 1,000% focused. And the more concentration you're able to develop, the more excited you become about your capabilities, your potential. The more you find, you absorb information, the more you want information. The more intensity you have to learn, to grow, to become everything you can be, to take in all the knowledge that you can have, so you can become anything you want. Now, I want you to create a visualization. And if you're not visual, what are they going to do? What are you going to ask them to do?
Imagine.
I want you to imagine this. Remember, don't assume your people are visual. Don't give them a visualization or stick them in that situation if they're non-visual. Always say, I want you to visualize or imagine that what I say is actually happening. I want you to imagine yourself, fill in the blank depending on who your client is, getting off your bicycle and going into school, driving up to school in your car, or on your camel, I don't know. But see yourself going into school in the morning. Imagine this, meeting with your girlfriends, your boyfriends, laughing, giggling, doing all the things that you're supposed to do. Talking about the adventures of the weekend you've just come off of. Now I want you to visualize yourself walking into your first class. Now you've already established that this student that's coming to you is fairly weak in one or two courses, probably, at least. So let's say it's the infamous algebra class. The big A. Picture yourself walking into that class. How do you feel? I don't feel good. In a moment, you're going to walk over to your chair. Do not sit down in your chair until I tell you to. Tell me when you're over by your chair. Are you there yet? No, I'm talking to Phil for a minute. All right, let me know when you're at your chair. Okay, I'm there. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to sit down in that chair. When you do, notice how you feel. Notice you feel instantly relaxed. All tension dissolves. All tension disappears. you become in calm control. At the same time, feel your mental energy of concentration growing powerful and strong. There's your teacher in front of you. Feel your eyes lock on her eyes. And there's a communication flow between each one of you. It's like a laser beam. And your eyes stay locked on her eyes or his eyes. And grows stronger, this connection. Feel whatever he or she says to you flows into your mind as you're concentrated 10,000%. Try to listen to other noises around you and notice they don't affect you or disturb you or have the slightest bit of importance in any way. Feel your whole psyche being drawn into your instructor. You're melding and molding. She becomes you and you become her. Her knowledge is your knowledge. Feel the concentration. Feel the energy. Feel the power and the absorption. And as you do, feel a tremendous desire to learn, to be great, to study, to gain knowledge. Feel a tremendous enjoyment of where you are and what you're doing, growing inside of you, like a seed that's watered, nurtured, and weeded, and grows strong and healthy in the light. Feel this energy within you. Focus on her. Whatever she says to you, I'm just saying she, it could be he, if it's a teacher, you'll have to establish that, becomes powerfully ingrained in your mind, becomes powerfully driven into your organic computer, and instantly becomes available to you at the slightest need. It'll flow into your mind like water gushes from the source. The merest need for a bit of information that you learn in these classes will cause that information to present itself to your conscious awareness in the proper and perfect way for what you need to know. Feel it. So now you've walked them through one visualization. That's weak, isn't it? That's the first compound of a visualization technique. But you've walked them step by step through what you want them to do. So the next thing is, let the scene fade. Now I want you to create another visualization. And this time, again, you walk them through, you get their fanny on the chair, you tell them feel that wonderful calm yet enormous power of alertness and concentration flow into you. You lock on your teacher. Now, I'm going to be quiet for a few moments. Then I'll ask you your feelings. And you shut up. Oh, you say, during this period of silence, you'll find your concentration, your desire to learn, your ability to absorb the information grows stronger and more powerful with every passing second and moment during the period of silence which begins now. And you shut up. And you give them a minute. Tell me how you feel. Now, the interesting thing that may happen to you is what happened to me last week with a college student that I was working with. He said, "Shut up, I'm concentrating." But usually they'll say, "I feel excited, I feel great, I'm tuned in, this is super." Let the scene fade. And what are we going to do? Create another visualization, aren't we? Where you walk into the classroom, you go through the same thing. But you've got post-hypnotic suggestions riding. You're not only compounding, you've got post-hypnotic suggestions riding on each one. Very similar to the element induction when you think about it, which simply says the next time this happens, you'll find the effects more powerful and strong than the time before. So now this next visualization comes up. Now they're in there and they're so wired they don't know what to do. Let the scene fade. Now you bring them back to the house again. It's in the evening. Now you create study visualizations. Just the same way as you did the class. 15 minutes. And you say to the person during this period of 15 minutes of silence I'm going to give you while you study, it will seem like a mere moment to you. Because that's all it's going to be. And you create the visualization, you give them a period of silence. Of course, riding on this visualization, at each time they do this, they're going to be able to concentrate more, they're going to be able to absorb more, they're going to be able to like themselves more, they're going to be more excited about the world of knowledge than the time before. And during this period of silence, watch it happen. Boom. And you give them a minute. All right, your 15 minutes are up. Tell me how you feel. Do I have to stop now? Yes. I want you in your mind, get up, take a walk, throw some water on your face, get a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. No, not a scotch. They can't have that right now, you see. And then you bring them back. Now, you've created these visualizations over and over and over again. And you're developing a tremendous energy within these people. That's how you teach them to study. And that's enormously effective. And this is a simple session. This is no big shakes. Now, you should do this before you read them the pattern. Create these visualizations, then go into the pattern. The pattern's a cleanup because you're going to forget things. And the pattern will just go ahead and smooth it all out. It's like baking the cake and now you're smoothing on the icing. And the icing covers up a lot on a cake, doesn't it? You know. Or you know who came in and took a little finger of it and woofed it out. Well, you slap a little light and it's nice and smooth again, you see. So this just finishes it up, smooths it out. Very nice way to go ahead and do that. That's how you handle it in class. That's how you handle it at home. That's also, if it's a corporate person, of course the visualization is in the corporation training class. Now you may run into some other problems in that environment. The older the person gets, the more problems they have. Now you're going to find a lot of people as they grow older who go back to school are frightened about their ability to absorb knowledge. And you know, all people basically repress they don't want to be seen. They wish they were invisible. And in the corporate environment, it's hard to be invisible in a classroom. They're called on more than in a regular class. They're pointed out. The jokes fly heavy. It's looser, and yet it's more frightening to a lot of people. Now, the one thing you'll discover that happens more as a person goes older is many of them powerfully develop the fear of public speaking, of talking, and things on this order. So you may find you have to deal with that also, even in a classroom environment, where, for example, in a classroom, if they have to get up and give a dissertation on something or explain how something works, you'll find that you may have to do a secondary session with them on fear of public speaking, things on this order. So look for that, not so much in the young people. Young people, if they're in with a crowd that they're moving through their life with, seem to giggle through it and laugh, and it's not that big of a shake. But watch out for us older folks in that environment. Okay. Any questions on this up to this point?
When you're telling them to study and then break, does it need to be a balance of the time? If they're studying for 20 minutes, do they need to break for 20 minutes?
15 minutes is fine.
15 and 15?
Actually, 10 minutes is sufficient for most people as a break.
As a break.
As a break.
20-minute study, 10-minute break.
Yeah. 20-minute study, 10-minute would be the minimum break. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I use 15 minutes because that's what my breaks are when I study, because I raid the refrigerator and, you know, I do silly things and I like a little extra time to do those things. But 10 minutes is sufficient, just to get their mind away from it and decompressed.
When you're having them visualize, say they're visualizing being in the classroom, are they visualizing the same scene over and over again?
No, that's a good question. Are they visualizing the same scene or imagining the same scene? No, create a different situation, a different scenario, a different scene, or even a different class. You want it different. You want them walking into their algebra class on one of them, and then you want them going into their psychology class.
Okay, so what if that's the only two places they have a problem, then that would be it?
Yeah, I would, because we're learning a skill. So I would focus the skill on the class that they're having the problem in. I mean, why not kill two birds with one stone? If they're really great in English, why bother developing more power in English? They're going to get more power there, but let them face not only the learning ability, but also the weakness, the weakest class that they're having a problem with.
How many times would it be good for them to?
A visualization should be repeated 5 times
So,
if you really want to start to see some exceptional change.
so let's say they only have 2 classes, so they have a problem.
Well, then do 3 in one class and 2 in the other one. Sure.
Okay, and then the same thing with the study at home. There would be 5 different situations in their studying period with visualizations or...
Yeah. Well, at home when they're studying, you can have them studying algebra one time in the visualization. You can have them studying English. Keep them in the areas of study that they're the weakest in, though. You know. Of course, visualizations or imaginations are the most important way to affect change. Something imagined by the subconscious mind with energy, the subconscious mind can't tell the difference between that and something actually happening. It can't tell the difference. Something imagined in detail is the same thing as it's happening. And remember, what our mind perceives us to be, what our mind perceives us to be able to do, is what we are and what we're able to do. That's why the visualization or imaginations have to be compounded and repeated with great energy and force. Because think of it like dynamite. You know, you can go into a person's mind with a cap. Remember the cap pistols? Blip! Or you can go into there with a nuclear bomb. Which is going to get the most change?
The bomb.
The bomb. Right. So you want a hammer, and you want to create energy. So the perception at the subconscious level of what you can do and your capabilities can be readily and rapidly changed with energy, with power, you see. All there is energy, isn't that right? You can't manufacture energy, can you? You can't destroy it either. All you can do is what?
Manipulate or move it
Change
around.
it.
Change it.
Change it. It's just like when somebody comes to you for lack of self-confidence, which you'll find even in study. I don't have any confidence. Well, confidence is energy. When a person was born, they had all the confidence in the world, plenty of confidence. They were totally confident. When they screamed and cried, Mom was going to come in and feed them. Or they were totally confident when they cried they were going to get a diaper change. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about this stuff. They were confident they ruled the nest. And so they're still got that energy of confidence. You find in their adult life, they're totally confident of not being able to do something. So the energy is just mutated and changed. It's still there. So we are not hypnotists, we're energy changers.
All right.
Make your new business card. Joel Ewing, energy changer. I like that. I think I'll trademark that one as an occupational situation. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that's how you walk a person through improving their study habit capability. It's not a hard thing. Remember, do all this this focusing, this visualization prior to the pattern. Then smooth it over with the pattern. In other words, the training becomes first. You do the training first on home, break it up, then you do the visualizations at school, then you come back and do the home visualization. That's about the pattern you want to follow. So now they're studying. Now they're absorbing. Now they're really doing well as far as absorbing the knowledge. You've increased, obviously, if you had to go back, remember in the beginning you had to neutralize any feelings of failure, develop their capabilities of really feeling good about themselves. Now, one way you also do this, if you're frightened of regressions, if you don't like regressions, you chicken. is you can do a little compounding of these type of words. You still want to do the chair at least with them. You want to neutralize the negative effects that they feel about themselves. But I use these words and they're very effective. I'll say, let me tell you something about yourself. I want you to know that you are a very unique individual. You're enormously special. What do I mean by that, I say to them? Well, very simply this. In the past, there has never been another person exactly like you or who has expressed life exactly the way you're expressing it now. In the future, there never will be another person exactly like you or who expresses life exactly the way you do right now. On this planet now of billions of people, there's only one of you. When they made you, they threw the mold away, period. You were brought into this world with the same rights to succeed as anybody else. The same ability to choose and manufacture your destiny as anybody else. This is your time. This is your place. The Romans had their time and did great things. And they're all dead. The Greeks had all their time and achieved wondrous things. And they're all dust. The great leaders in art, in literature, in music, in death and destruction walked this planet during their time and achieved their greatness. This is your time. This planet belongs to you right now. All of its resources. The golden sun shines down on you and gives you the energy to be anything you want to be. You're not your mother. You're not your father. They had their time. This is your time. You were born into this planet to walk down the path of life with me, with all those other people that are out there in this time. And you know what? We're all scared, like you are. We're frightened. We're insecure. We want to be loved. We don't know what to do. But that's why we're here. We're here to learn, to grow, to be excited. This is our time. 100 years from now, you're going to be dirt. It's over. And you don't ever want to look back and said, I shoulda, I woulda, I coulda, but I didn't. If you're smart enough to bend over and tie your shoes, you can pass that algebra exam. This is a great time, and we're all going to walk holding hands down this path of life that's so brief, it's a twinkling of an eye. What is it? 50 years? 60 years? 70 years? 100 years? That's nothing. That's a meaningless drop in time. But it's your drop in time. You're not your brother, nor his successes or failures. You are certainly not your father and his successes or failures. Because a lot of people have a lot of problems with a powerful father or a debilitating father. You're not him. He's fighting his battles. You're you. This is your time to go for it. This is your time to cast off the anchors that have held you back for all these years. They're not yours. They were put on there with people who were frightened and scared, and you bust those chains off now, and now you can grow into the light, become free, have joy in your heart, and walk down this brief path with me, learning, laughing, loving, and becoming as creative, as energetic, and as successful as you can dream. God put one restriction on your mind. One. And that is, you are not capable of doing something you can't think of. In other words, if you can think of it, you can do it. Might take some education, might take a little work, might take a little experimentation, but you can do it. Set yourself free. Live. Breathe. Love. And if a person's in a good state of trance, you're going to see him starting to smile. You're going to see a transformation of energy. You're going to see them say to themselves by looking at their face, why did I allow these other people to control me? And that's your next breath. You say, let me tell you why you're really here today. You think you're here because, now it doesn't matter why that person has come to see you. Because you're not doing well in school, because you're smoking, because you want to lose weight. Doesn't matter. Let me tell you the real reason you're in this office today. Your conscious mind, you know that has to give you a reason why you do the things you do, tells you you're here because of, and then you look at their sheet that tells you why they came to see you. Your conscious mind told you you're here to stop smoking or to do better in school. That's not the reason. The real reason you're here is because you finally made a decision. And it's a final decision. And that final decision is you've decided to take back control of a part of your life that's been out of control. Period. Then you say to him, nobody has a right to control you. Not your mother, not your father, not your teachers, not your husband, your wife, your lovers, the Pope, your employer. No one has a right to control you. That right was given to you by God, if the person believes in God. That right was given to you and to no one else. And I love, if I'm dealing with a smoker, I'll say that right was not given to the purveyors of death, who want you to live as long as they can before they kill you off. And now you're simply claiming back that right of control that you allowed others to have. And you grow strong with that knowledge and excited about that. So you see, before you even get into it, you can build an energy within them that many, many times you can neutralize the past without the actual regression, providing you do the forgiveness for them by them. That's a critical turning point in any way you want to accomplish that. What is forgiveness? It's the eraser of guilt and fear. You've got to erase guilt, because what does guilt require a person to do? Punish themselves. How do people punish themselves? By becoming less than what they could be, in whatever form that takes. So you've done all this good work. You're excited about this. The person is now excited about learning. He's excited about school. He's excited about the class that he's taking that used to cause him aggravation. He's excited about his own power and energy. I mean, you've got him off the dime. They're raring to go. So now they've absorbed all this information. Now they face what?
The exam.
The test. The big T. They've got the knowledge. It's inside of them. They've done really well. They know everything in the world about real estate. They know everything in the world about passing that stockbroker's examination. They've studied Gestalt and Freud, and they know everything there is to know about the mind. Don't they? But now they've got to demonstrate it, don't they? Now they've got to prove it, don't they? Now they've got to face the bear in the bear's den. The test. The lion's den, not the bear. Well, the bear has a den too.
That's not the famous stuff.
So here comes the person into the classroom or into the motel where the state gives the examinations. There's 474 seats. People are sitting in them. And every one of them knows more than you do, don't they? And all of a sudden, all that great knowledge that's stored within you, they say, open the test and begin. You open the test and it's written in a foreign language. You don't have any idea what this is. Good grief. That's called mind block. White out. It's all gone. So you sit there and cry or write something stupid on it, wondering if you can get to your car, bicycle, without anybody speaking to you and asking you the infamous question, how'd you do? Your nerves are like this as you're sitting in there. God forbid you didn't have to take a drink of water, where would it go? All over you. Okay. The hardest part's been accomplished. We've got the knowledge and energy inside. Now we got to get it outside. This is the easy part. This is the simple part. Okay. It's the same thing. Visualizations, writing on direct suggestions, and compounding. Now we're going to get into a more exotic technique in a minute, but for most people this is what will do it. Here's the way it works. When you walk into that fill in the blank, classroom, motel, official room de la test of the U.S. GUFT, or whatever it may be. Like my son years ago went down to take a test for what we call booping, which is the ham radio, some kind of a code test. Yeah. Department of Communication Code Testing Facility. How would you like to have to face a door like that? That's as bad as you girls going to the hospital, getting ready to have a baby, and facing that brass plaque over the wall that says, labor room. You're doomed right from the top, aren't you? Okay, so here's what you do with the individual. When you walk into that room, I don't care how you feel. How you feel is not important. But you'll select the seat. That's either one you had before, or if it's in a motel, you'll pick one that looks good, whatever. Usually it's closest to the exit. And the instant you sit down on that chair, the instant your fanny hits that seat, it flows from the top of your head to the tip of your toes. A beautiful, warm feeling of relaxation. All tension dissolves and disappears. All pressures let go. And instantly replaced by a feeling of calm, control, and confidence. Instantly flows in with great power a feeling of I'm ready. Instantly flows in a feeling that this is not something that they're testing you for. This now becomes for you a marvelous opportunity to show off what you know. It's a time to show off. It's not a time to be tested. What good is learning all this information if you can't show off how well you've done? And so you let that mental attitude grow within you. This is your time to show off. You feel good. You feel excited. You have a calm feeling of powerful anticipation of it's going to be a piece of cake. Which it is, because everything on that examination is in your computer. You've done that work. Now here comes the teacher, or whatever it may be. The exam may be already on the desk, or they may come and hand it out. When you look at that examination, the instant you see that examination, you have this feeling of enormous confidence that almost turns into a giggle. You almost start to chuckle, as if to say, is this the best shot they can take? I want more. Now they tell you it's time to take the exam, to open the exam up. You do with ease and grace and absolute confidence. The next thing you do is read the instructions. You will read the instructions strongly because you realize it's critically important you understand what they're asking. Most people who fail exams generally is not because they don't know it, but because they read the first 4 or 5 words of the instructions and assume what the exam is asking of them, and it's asking the opposite of what they think is asking of them. So you'll read the instructions. You'll understand that. You'll spend a little time on the instructions. Once that's internalized within you, once you have that down, then you're going to begin with the first question. And the instant you look at the first question, a wonderful calmness flows through you as you realize this examination is a done deal. Piece of cake. No problem. Information instantly flows from your internal computer in the proper form to answer each and every question because you put it there without any effort on your part. It automatically presents itself. If for any reason a question is asked of you and that information doesn't flow right to your mind, don't worry about it. Here's how you will handle that. You'll ask yourself for the information. What is the capital of Brazil? I don't know, whatever the question may be. And it doesn't come up. Relax, let go, forget about it. Begin to go to the next question. And you will discover that in the briefest period of time, the capital of Brazil will wash itself up on the sands of your consciousness like water washes up on the sands of the beach, and you will discover the capital of Brazil is Rio de Janeiro. I thought it was Brasilia.
It's true, Brasilia. I'm not from Brazil.
Oh, I thought you were from Brazil. Okay. Where are you from?
Colombia.
Ah, jeez. Okay. The second question comes up. The major crop in Colombia is?
Cocaine.
Okay. You have the person, you're walking them through this visualization. And with each question that he answers, he becomes more confident, more excited, more powerful, more energetic. Each question becomes easier than the question before. Until before he realizes it, there are no more questions. He's finished. And as he looks back at that exam, as he closes it, he knows He's proven to himself, to the world around him, he has that knowledge. Let the scene fade. Now you walk him through the same visualization again. He goes in, he puts his seat down, the confident feeling of relaxation, of energy, of concentration flows into him. And you walk through the exact same scenario. And each time you go through this, it becomes more powerful, more effective, and stronger than the time before. Again, for this situation, you should create a visualization of about 5 times. The more you do it, the more money is in the bank for this person. The more it's compounded. Now, we all know the law of compound, don't we? It's the most important direct suggestion, part of direct suggestion. The first suggestion you give to a person is weak, and the more you give suggestion, the stronger the original suggestions become. We're not going to teach that class again tonight. But you should never forget the law of compounding. It's critically important. And remember, when you repeat a suggestion, it becomes so strong and so strong and so strong that really when you compound, you'll know that you've compounded enough. Now, you know you should compound about 5 or 6 times more when you feel as if you have to say that suggestion again, you're going to throw up. That's when you give the suggestion 5 or 6 times more. The person never gets bored with it, only you do. And it just becomes indelibly powerful. So the visualization is a compound of many other compounds. And it all flows together to create a new reality for that person. Now there's another way. First of all, is there any questions about this test scenario that you want to talk about? Now there's a better way to do it. Go ahead.
I've always go through 3 times. Answer the questions, you immediately know the answer. Forget it if you don't know it.
Don't forget it.
No,
Remember, the subconscious mind will accept suggestions literally. If you say forget it, then they're never going to get it, are they?
Move on to the next
Move on to the next one.
Go through the second time, the answer will come. The third time, if you don't know it, guess it.
Whatever way you want to do this is fine. The most important thing to do is take away the pressure, the negativity, the fear, create the relaxed environment, and I'll guarantee if that person has put that information in their mind, it's going to come out. What suggestions you give to bring it out after that point are not even important, and just that there's a few in there. Get rid of the tension, the stress, and the fear, and that information's going to present itself to that person. Now there's a better way to do it. And that goes back to our old friend self-hypnosis, doesn't it? Now you all learned how to do self-hypnosis and how to teach self-hypnosis, I'm assuming. If you haven't, and if you folks watching the video don't know how to teach self-hypnosis to your clients, get somebody to teach you how to do it. Now you know you can teach basic self-hypnosis, but it's more important that you teach a little bit more than that. You go beyond basic self-hypnosis. You tell a person, for example, when they go in the classroom, they quickly enter a deep level of trance. Teach them to open their eyes and remain in trance. Take the class in a state of hypnosis. Now, if you train your person to enter deep eyes open hypnosis, which is an easy technique to do, then whatever is taught to them, 100% of it goes into their mind. Right then. There's nothing to block it from going in. Now you also, in the test environment, have them go into trance, open their eyes, take the test in deep hypnosis. Then there's nothing blocking the information coming out because there's absolutely no stress or tension that can be allowed in a deep state of hypnosis. We all know that. The state itself eliminates stress and tension. Combine that with the release of the information you've placed in there, and it just flows out. You feel wonderful. So it's a very easy technique. Now there's many ways to teach people eyes open hypnosis. It's no big deal. I do my way, you can trip over it and find a way of your own. The concept is teach them to do hypnosis, let them practice to get into a somnambulistic state. In any technique you want to, advise them they're going to be able to open their eyes and hold on to this state. Until after the class, till after the test, then they'll close their eyes and emerge from the state. Now, if you teach them how to do that, everything else that goes along with this becomes hundreds of times more powerful and effective. So it's always in the person's benefit to teach them self-hypnosis. Is there anybody in here who can't go into self-hypnosis? How many of you go into self-hypnosis deeply, quickly? Yeah. Yeah. It takes a little practice. For those of you who can't really get as deep as you want, you practice. Practice makes perfect. How many of you are able to enter eyes open hypnosis? Into hypnosis, open your eyes and remain in deep trance.
Are you going to show us?
A few are. Okay. How many of you can enter hypnosis but can't enter eyes open hypnosis? Okay. All right. Let me demonstrate one technique that we can use here. Come on up here, young lady. You're going to be the victim tonight. Mm-hmm. Now, let's just quickly discover where she's going in trance. We'll let her have a level of trance. Let me just help her in the beginning a little bit, and then you can bring yourself down, all right? Mm-hmm. And then we'll show you how to enter the state with your eyes open. All right, take a long, deep breath, fill up your lungs real good, exhale and sleep. Now, let go every muscle and nerve as I rotate your head. Let your whole body and mind relax very deeply. Feel every gentle breath carrying you more and more relaxed. Now, in a moment, I'm going to lift your left hand, and I'll just drop it back to your lap. When I do, your whole body relaxes much deeper. Don't try to help me lift. Let me do all the lifting. I'm going to lift it by the thumb. Let me have all the weight of it. That's good. When the hand drops down, allow this physical relaxation to double. Way down. That's good. Now I'll lift your right hand by the wrist, and I'll let it drop back down. Let me do all the weight. When it drops down, that's good. Let your entire physical body relax much more automatically. That's good. Now, we want to make sure, although I feel confident she has a beautiful state, let's make sure we got somnambulism. We know that's where we really want to be. And we know somnambulism is easily identified by a person accepting suggestions of amnesia. All right, in a moment I'm going to have you begin to count out loud backwards, starting with the number 100. With each number you say double your mental relaxation. With each number you say let your mind grow twice as calm, still, and serene. So that after you say just a few numbers, your mind becomes so beautifully calm and relaxed, you actually relax all the rest of the numbers out of your mind. There just won't be any more there to count for a while. And when you do that, just notice the beautiful peacefulness that comes with that. Want that to happen, let it happen. All right? Slowly begin counting out loud backwards, starting with the number 100. Double your mental relaxation and relax those numbers right out of your mind. Begin.
100.
Double your mental relaxation now.
99.
Now let those numbers grow very dim and distant. They're not important.
98.
Now go ahead and dispel those numbers. Push them on out. Let them go. Now they'll be gone. Numbers all gone now? Mm-hmm. Now your mind's relaxed and your body's relaxed, and your mind and body continue to relax much more with each and every breath. Not because I say so, because it's the nature of the human mind to enjoy the deeper levels that heal us mentally and physically. Now listen very carefully to me. You're going to be able to enter this state much deeper anytime you want, simply by using simple self-hypnosis techniques that you already know. I'm going to snap my fingers 3 times. Each time, let a wave of relaxation flow from your head to your toes. Each time, let your physical and mental relaxation grow twice as deep. All right, now listen carefully to me. This is a beautiful level of relaxation, mental and physical, you're allowing yourself to have. Now I'm going to train you how you can hold on to this state even with your eyes open. I'm going to show you how you can hold on to this state, walk, talk, function normally, but still holding on to this beautiful, deep state of relaxation. Here's how you'll do this. You'll enter self-hypnosis in any manner that you want. You enter it very nicely, true or false? Good. You'll enter it, you'll go right back down to this level or deeper each time. When you've reached a level of deep relaxation that you sense and feel is at least this deep, if not deeper, here's how you will enter eyes open hypnosis. You'll simply count forward like this. 1, 2. When you reach the count of 2, you'll open your eyes. When you open your eyes, you'll feel a wonderful surge of relaxation through your mind and body. You'll be able to talk, walk, function normally. But inside, you're going to know you're holding on to a beautiful, deep level of relaxation. A beautiful, deep level of hypnosis. All right? When you're ready, count forward to the number 2. Gently let your eyes open and feel that relaxation flow through you much more.
1, 2.
Good. How do you feel?
Relaxed. Yeah.
Think you're in hypnosis right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a nice feeling, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sure it is. All right. Now, in this state, you'll be able to, if you're, I know you're still studying, aren't you? You're reading, you're listening, you're absorbing information. In this state, you'll be able to absorb information completely the first time you hear or read it. It'll just become part of you. The only problem with learning this way is sometimes the conscious mind, it usually takes a month or so, is not able to bring the information up. It's kind of like it's not part of this process. But it's going to be powerfully ingrained into that subconscious computer of yours. Do you understand? It's a nice feeling, isn't it? You like this? Yeah. Now you want to have your client practice entering and exiting this state for about a week with this suggestion. I want you to practice entering eyes open hypnosis for a week before you do anything with it. And during that week, you're not allowed to stay in this state of eyes open hypnosis for more than 15 minutes at a time. Now the reason for that is this. Each time you go into hypnosis, you'll let yourself go deeper than the time before. What happens though, if you say, I like this, I'll go into it and stay there all day, the subconscious mind says, this is the rut, and it doesn't go any deeper. So you want to go down into it, come up, go down, come up, go deeper, come up, and the cycle is always downward. So that after a week of that, why, it doesn't matter how long you stay in this state, the next time you'll still allow yourself to go deeper because that programming becomes very solid and very powerful. Do you understand that? That's very important in the eyes open trance state, because without it, this trance state will dissipate, or that'll just be the level they're allowed themselves to have. That's good. Now listen to me. When you want to emerge from this trance state, here's how you'll do it. If your eyes are not closed, you'll first close your eyes. After your eyes are closed, you'll simply count forward to the number 3. 1, 2, 3. When you reach the count of 3, you'll open your eyes, you'll become totally emerged from hypnosis, feeling marvelous, refreshed, confident, excited in every way. Do you understand? All right, now let's practice this. I'm going to see how you can enter hypnosis by yourself. Remember, you'll enter trance using your self-hypnosis technique. You'll go as deep as you were a moment ago, or in each time a little deeper than the time before. When you reach the level you're going to, you'll count forward to the number 2, silently. You don't have to do it out loud. Then you'll open your eyes, feeling deeply relaxed and holding on to a marvelous level of trance. All right, when you're ready, silently to yourself, count forward to the number 3, let your eyes open, fully alert. Notice how good you feel. How do you feel?
Good.
A little different now, don't you?
Yeah.
All right. Are you ready to enter eyes open hypnosis on your own?
Yeah.
When you're ready, enter trance, at least as deep as you were before, a little deeper probably. Count forward to the number 2 and let your eyes open. How do you feel?
Yeah,
Relaxed. Are you in trance?
so.
Could you have a baby without any discomfort?
I've had 3 that way.
Oh, okay. That's pretty exciting. Do you have anything to do with that, Russ?
Left the camera at home.
Now, isn't this a nice state? You think you'd be able to study and learn and take an examination in this beautiful state?
Yes.
Is there any tension going through you at all if you anticipate sitting down and being given the opportunity to prove what you know?
No, I'm completely relaxed.
It's a wonderful feeling, isn't it? Now, you see how simple it is to teach your people to do this, and this really takes the edge off. I mean, this is an ability that they'll have to go into the examination scenario. Now, there's a fringe Benny here. Now, we don't tell the client this, but we know it. That is, even if the client is not really going into a deep level of trance, any level of trance creates that marvelous, relaxed state that just takes all that negativity and pressure and it falls off of them like water goes off a duck's back. So even the depth of trance is not as important because they've learned to get rid of the negative feelings of tension and stress and anxiety. Isn't that right? So this is just a simple way to go about doing it. Now add the self-hypnosis to the other visualizations, to the compounding and the direct pattern, and I'm telling you, you're going to create monster students. They're going to do fantastic. Now, this technique I call legal cheating. I teach it to college students. I compound it a lot because they can sit in their classroom and they can go ahead and absorb everything. Boom. And they tell me, we love it, gives us more beer drinking time. You know how those college students are, don't you? Those rascally wabbits. Okay. And also, when they're studying, they read a book, they got it. They just have it. They don't have to waste a lot of time in the dorm. And, you know, we joke about more beer drinking time, but what it is they're able to absorb a lot more information. I'm telling you, it's a very competitive world. We work with students for SATs, and I'm telling you, it's amazing if they take that SAT exam, forget about learning anything else. Just what they know is enormous if what they know can be released. Teaching a child to take an SAT test in a state of hypnosis, I guarantee you their point score will be enormously higher, if that's all you do, than if they took that same test in a powerful state of fear and apprehension. Every parent who wants their child to go to school should have them taking the SAT test in self-hypnosis. You want to emerge, or would you like to live like this the rest of your life?
Live like this.
How are you going to emerge from hypnosis when you're ready?
Close my eyes and count to 3.
That's it. Go ahead and do that now. Now, that wasn't so hard to learn, was it?
No.
Think you'll be able to do that on your own?
Yes.
All right. Go back to your chair, sit down, and enter eyes open hypnosis. That way, you'll even learn more out of this seminar. Okay. Any questions about how to take a test? So you see, when you put the study habits and the testing techniques together, the people have it. I have never had an interesting story happened on a couple of years back, this was, where we were working, no, I wasn't working with this particular stock brokerage firm. Yeah, I'd worked with a couple of people. But what happened was they called me up and they said, Jerry, we're sending 4 people down. Please teach them the eyes open hypnosis technique because we're going to put them in the class and then they got to go take the test. They just got finished taking the test and they all failed it. Everybody failed it. 300 people. And the reason was these preparatory test schools, you know how a lot of them work. They get the answers or the questions from students over the years that have taken the exam. And the state never really changes the exam. They work with 5 or 7 exams for one particular thing. And over the years, these schools end up with the questions. So what happened was this year, the state just wrote all new exams. And all these people went in there, and out of 300 of them, there was like 9 people passed. And they said they're going to give the exam again in 2 weeks. And 2 fellas came to me. And I taught them exactly what you've learned here tonight. Those 2 fellas went to the exam. 2 weeks later, instead of 300 and some of them showing up, 30 of them, or 32 of them, had the guts to go back and think they were ready. Out of those 32 who retook the exam, 2 people passed that exam. Care to guess who they were? And with high scores. That's the enormous power of this simple 2-step technique. These people went back to the school, took the class in eyes open hypnosis, went to the exam, took the exam in eyes open hypnosis, and aced it. Aced it. Each one of them got an unheard of over 90%. And that's a marvelous thing. So now I have these stockbroker companies who require their people to come to me to take this training. And they'll come to you because this is easy work to do. Hook up with somebody who, you know, it would be neat to hook up with somebody who prepares people for SAT tests. You just do nothing but the eyes open hypnosis training. And watch they can't increase the scores as much as you can. That's the truth. That's the truth. Show them how well it'll work, and you'll be in more demand in that area than work you can handle. And it's easy stuff for you to learn how to do, and there's a tremendous confidence factor because it works. And it works so quickly and so often. Any questions? You got to get excited about this kind of work because it's fearless work for you. You don't have to deal in the mud and the scud if you don't want to. You don't have to listen to, my father hit me with a baseball bat 74 times. My mother ignored me, showed me no love. You don't have to listen to that. I mean, let's face it, we get bogged down in our office listening to other people's problems. After a while, we go, geez. And we get, Kathy comes up here every month or so, and she bleeds out all my negativity, and I feel good again. And then she'll come to me, and every once in a while, I'll do it to her, because you got to. But this is exciting. See, this is the positive kind of work in hypnosis. There's no negativity to it, and especially when you're working with kids. Now, there's one other technique. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, if you're working with someone with SATs, are you doing this for them to prepare as they study for their SATs and then for them to go into the...
Either way. It can be preparing them to study in eyes open hypnosis if they're going to a preparatory course, and also to take the test. But if you don't have time, if the person's just lined up to take the SAT test, and they come to you, can you help me pass the test? What do you see? G-O-D on my chest? Give me a break. Yeah, I can increase your score. Because we have to assume somehow they've tripped over some knowledge that has not been able to come up previously. So now, in teaching them how to take the test, in eyes open hypnosis, developing those powerful feelings of confidence and energy, their SAT test score will be enormously higher than what it would have been. Most of the time you don't get people in time to prepare them for the SAT. It's a damn shame, because if you could get them to take that course, that preparatory course in hypnosis, frightening to think what they would be able to do. But remember, hypnosis to many people is still the work of the devil, especially in people, you know, in countries like Colombia,
That's true.
Brazil,
Yeah.
the deep religious Catholic countries. Sure. Cast off the chains, educate the people. Get these people in, teach them this. This is such fun work, it's unbelievable. You got to have a good time doing this kind of work, because you leave your office excited, pumped up, raring to go, instead of leaving your office with a negative energy flow because you've given everything to that last person.
Now, they can take the test easily just because they're relaxed, right? You don't have to give them any suggestions that the test is going to come easily to them.
I always throw suggestions in like that, even though if all you do is teach them that they're relaxed, they're confident, they're in control. It's amazing what that alone is able to do for people in a test environment. Amazing. Now there's one other thing you can do. This is an advanced technique you can teach to the parents. It's sneaky, it's underhanded, it's a rotten thing to do. I did it to my kids. That's why they turned out so good. You can only do this with young children. Children up to about 6 or 7. You wait until they're asleep, deep asleep. Then mom sneaks in to the bedroom on her hands and knees, or dad. Generally mom, the kids have a tighter rapport. She gets by the child's bed and she says, "This is mommy. You can hear me, but you won't wake up. This is mommy. You can hear me, but you won't wake up." You repeat that 5 or 6 or 7 times. "This is mommy. You can hear me, but you won't wake up. If you hear me, let me know by raising your finger," or you can see the way they're laying. Somehow you get them to do something that's a physical movement. "This is mommy. You can hear me, but you won't wake up. Your mind will be relaxed. You'll be calm and sleepy, but you'll hear every word I say. You won't remember what I said, but you'll feel these feelings forever. You're going to find..." Now, when you do this, you have got to keep it short. No long patter. You get in, you get out. You got 20 seconds. Don't blow it. You're going to find that every day that goes by, you love going to school. School is so much fun. You talk in their language. You just look forward to every day at school where you can learn and become excited and have a wonderful time. Learning to you is a tremendous amount of enjoyment and fun. Sleep tight, darling. Go to sleep. Slip out and be history. Now, you can do this every night. We did it about twice a week. And of course, we worked on alcohol and drugs. And we've never had a drug problem in our family or a booze problem. We've told our children that they're going to enjoy and love school, and they got great grades. We program them that when they go into the work environment, they're not going to be clock watchers. And they're going to give 110%. They're going to be on time. They're going to do more than what's asked of them. And because of that, my young daughter today is in charge of a psychological organization in this town, and she is in charge at her young age at 24 of, I think, 6 separate centers. She runs them. When she says jump, doctors say how high. She runs things. And I got to tell you, she's paid very, very nicely. So you can teach that sneaky technique to your parents that you work with, and it works. Once the kids get a little older, you got to back off of it. Back off of it when they hit late 7s, early 8s in that area. Then go into your child inductions that you've learned of just close your eyes and pretend.
Why is that? Why does the age make a difference when you get past
They have a tendency to wake up when you talk to them. You'll reach that period where, because they're becoming involved in life more, that boing, they are not looking at you with that trusting, "What are you up to now? You're going to make me eat more beets? Broccoli?" Broccoli. Prez. Okay. Any other questions? Get involved with this. This is exciting kind of work. This is fulfilling work. When you can take the youth of our world and get them on a path that's going to create within them absolute success, you're not only building a soul that's going to grow and contribute to our world, you're creating a new world. I wish that we could teach every child of 1st grade self-hypnosis. It would be the most wonderful gift that this country could, or this world, could ever give to the children. But because of the ignorance of the parents about hypnotism, they think that we're going to control the children's mind. The school board frequently would get behind this, but they know that the parents will never allow it. We've attempted it, and the parents are so ignorant about hypnotism that they would tar and feather anybody who attempted to do it with my child, with their child. and so it's not allowed.
Would you teach a child self-hypnosis the same way you would an adult?
You bet your life. Would I teach a child self-hypnosis?
Is there an easier way, or is it just the same way?
They'll absorb it basically the same way. There's some children's techniques we can get it in to some other time, but basically this is what you'll do. Children will learn it easier than adults will. They'll follow instructions much easier than adults. Adults were too convoluted and looking for what are they really trying to do. Kids go, I'll do it. We don't have any problem. Sure. Now remember, if you're going to teach a child self-hypnosis, if you're going to hypnotize any child, get a written permission from the parent. Don't ever hypnotize somebody under the age of 21 without a written permission of the parent. They say 18. You go ahead and do 18. Doesn't bother me. I'm doing 21. Unless that child's out of the house at 18, living on his own, then maybe I'll think about it. Get written permission. And watch what diamonds you'll create. You'll be so excited, it's great.
So is it legal for a teacher to teach self-hypnosis?
It is not legal for a teacher to teach hypnosis to children. No more is it legal for me to teach hypnosis, self-hypnosis to a child without parents' permission. A teacher could teach it with the parents' permission, of course. But you're not going to see that. It's very, very rare. Very rare. Okay. If there's no other questions, we're going to end the filming here in a moment. I hope this has given you some new things to work with. This area of work is one of those areas of work that we can do in our field that is enormous in the volume of business that you can do. People say that their practices are slow. That's because they're missing these opportunities to go after the kind of work that brings instant gratification and a tremendous amount of word-of-mouth referral business. You take a child, you teach a child how to be a success, how to pass an exam, and those parents will shout it and rub it in the neighbor's face over and over again. And you know we will live in a world of keeping up with the Joneses, don't we? And pretty soon their children and then their children's friends' children are going to be flocking to you.
Is this a technique that lends itself to group sessions? Or
Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's wondrous in groups, especially with young people, because young people, again, will accept suggestions and guidance without the fear that the adults do. It's always nice to do a little individual work maybe with people to establish a trance state to make sure that the whole group will go into it. But I've done it with groups, no problem whatsoever, and it works marvelously. The only thing you can't do, obviously, is abreaction or doing regression work with a group. You're not going to do that effectively. And you don't have to with this stuff. You can do that other, you're one of a kind, and we're walking down this path together.
How about desire for improvement in the child himself rather than the parent pushing him through the door and said, make my child a lot better than he is right now. And the kid is not really into this.
Yeah, the kid is not into, if the parent's pushing the child. Remember, it doesn't matter what age it is. Before we can change anything, we have to have a readiness for change. We got to want the change. Now, many times, though, with a youth, you can create that desire. If you talk to that child as a friend, honestly, tell him nothing you say or talk about is going beyond your office, not even to the parents. You can get that kid to let his hair down, to trust you. You'll find the ways to develop within that person the ability to want to become good and acceptable for him, not because of his parents' desires. Okay. Thank you for being here tonight. This is a gas. Go after this work. This is big-time stuff. This is the most satisfying work you can get involved with next to maybe painless childbirth. You are creating, by working in this kind of work, if you work with kids, a new generation of people. And with this, we can eliminate their fears, we can build their potentials, and we can get them through any test in the world. There's no problem with this at all. Go for it. It's fun. Thank you. God bless you. And use this stuff. It's great. Till the next time.